about or our community about what do you guys wanted to see next, and most of you voted. 45% of you guys voted on the MMA, Mexico, Acapulco, fight story, and breakdown. So here it goes, guys. First of all, I'd like to dedicate this video to my master, my very first master, Hugo Sergio Lara Valle from Acapulco, Mexico. He started teaching me when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I was best friends with his son, so we were friends in kindergarten, we were friends in first grade. So basically, this is how I got motivated to start martial arts. When I was kicking it at his house one day, just playing like we did a lot. Um, Most of the time we're over at his house, hardly ever at our house. Basically, he put on a Enter the Dragon for us, a movie, and Bruce Lee's last movie, and I was amazed by it. And basically, I really wanted to train after that. And my mom took me to train with him behind my dad's back because my dad did not want me training martial arts. He didn't like it. He wanted me to become a pilot or a lawyer or something like that. He didn't want me to even get started with those kind of things. So it was behind his back, especially was a pilot. It was not that hard to do it behind his back. Anyhow, started training, and then about 2 years later, we ended up leaving because my mom got divorced. We ended up coming here to Holland. Here, I took up judo, karate, and Dutch kickboxing for a few years, like almost 4 years. Then we went to the States, trained there, got my black belt there, Taekwondo black belt, second degree, did tournaments there, won the U.S. Gold Cup, the state championships like this San Diego one and Lancaster, different Taekwondo championships I went to, like every year I went into something. And then basically once I turned 18, I got my green card because I was always immigrant, we were Dutch immigrants, and then we basically got our residence, permanent residence, and to stay in the U.S., which is called a green card. And then after that, you can leave because when you're in the process of getting the green card, you're not allowed to leave the country of the United States. A lot of people don't know this. So we were stuck there for like my entire high school years. I was stuck in the U.S. I couldn't go out vacations outside of the country without. It's like an automatic deportation if you do. You're like legal inside, but as soon as you leave, you become illegal and you can't get back in. So basically, I was able to finally leave, had my green card, had a bunch of tickets that my dad had given me, so I was going back and forth all the time. And whenever I was there, I was training with my coach. I looked him up, I hooked up back with my best friend again, hooked up back with my coach again. And basically, I was preparing more for Taekwondo tournaments and these kind of things. But then this MMA tournament came about, and then my coach asked me immediately because I was always hitting the bag, with like jab, cross, hook, low kick. I was always doing my kickboxing moves and things like that on the heavy bag. Besides the taekwondo, I was always warming up with those. So my coach asked me immediately. I was like the first one he asked if I wanted to do the MMA tournament. I was like, nah. Does it pay anything? And he's like, no. And I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. What do I want to do that for? So okay, well, I have to find someone for this tournament. So, because they were inviting everybody, but this tournament at the beginning was supposed to be a hold barred, no hold barred, no rules, anything goes, like the first UFC, kind of like blood sport type thing, like no rules. But it wasn't allowed by the government, so they had rules. It was only punching and kicking, and also the ground fighting, but that was like UFC rules on the ground. So basically, they were inviting everybody, and the organizers ended up being every people involved in the police department. Basically, there was like a clique or a gang of masters in Acapulco. They were martial arts masters, but they were also cops and they were also instructors at the police academy. These were like the real badass masters in Acapulco, like the better ones. My coach was a taekwondo master and he was a state police um, agent, they call it there, policía judicial or policía investigadora ministerial, like investigative police detective, where they kick down doors, they serve warrants, all these kind of things. The Jeet Kune Do master, I did a video on him, I'll link it below. The Jeet Kune Do master, Bruce Lee, from Bruce Lee school, from the IMB, actually has had direct contact with the Bruce Lee students. He passed away recently too. But he was director of the police academy, and he was also director of traffic within the local PD. And the Sambo master, I also dedicated that last video that I just talked about, the Jeet Kune Do master, I dedicated that Bruce Lee video to him as well. He recently passed away as well. From COVID, actually. He was younger, rest in peace. And he basically represented Sambo in Mexico. His nickname was the Russian Tank. He was a 911 responder, and basically ended up having a high position later as a 911 responder, but he was also like an instructor in the police academy and also for private security companies. He was teaching all kinds of different people. So all of these guys were involved in real action, really using the stuff that they know, applying it, teaching it, and risking their lives basically, you know. My coach was killed by the drug cartels, and like I said, in May 2006, May 25th, 2006. So in case you guys want to see that, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, I'll link it down below. So going back to the MMA story. Basically, one day I'm doing my combinations, and then he's looking at me, my coach is looking at me, and he's like looking at me like a dad looks at his son, you know, and he's like thinking, probably about to fight, and he's looking at me, and he's like, look at me with pride and love, and he's like, Arturo, I wish you would do the fight. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, let's do the fight. Why not? You know. And he was amazed that I said yes, you know. But this is why I said yes. I really felt that he needed it. Nobody wanted to go. He tried to get all these people to go, you know, because he was, like I said, one of the most important instructors in all of Mexico. 5 more important Taekwondo instructors in all of Mexico, and one of the most important ones in the state of Guerrero. Basically, anyone who had black belts there, basically, you know, got it from him. And most instructors that were teaching Taekwondo were students at his at some point, but nobody wanted to go. So basically, I said yes, and then well, we gotta start preparing. I'm like, well, let's do it. So we started preparing me. We were going to the Jeet Kune Do school to do the kickboxing there and the boxing and a lot of the conditioning. We were going to the Sambo instructor. He was in the UDA, which is like a local place where a lot of people can go train for quite cheap, almost free, you know. So we went there also to train with him to do some of the ground stuff and some of the grappling, because some jiu-jitsu guys would also go there. And then basically he got this heavyweight guy to also join finally. He brought in finally a Taekwondo guy. He was a national Taekwondo champion in Mexico, heavyweight, really hard kicks, good guy, you know. We ended up becoming really tight, good friends after this. And basically 2 months of this kind of training, we weren't sure who we were fighting. Finally, they said that he was fighting a guy who did boxing and wrestling, and I was fighting a guy who did karate, Kyokushinkai. So I was like, I was more worried that it would be a jiu-jitsu guy or something like that, you know. So then, basically, after that, 2 months of training, and then I used this mental warfare thing to like scare my opponent, like to just make him lose before the fight even started, using strategies, you know, from like the Art of War and things like that. Basically, what I did was, for the pictures, you know, I had like Taekwondo black belt on and a uniform, and I was standing like that. I had my hair long up to here. And the day of the fight, I shaved my head, completely bald, and I wore kickboxing shorts and a tank top and a backwards hat. So basically to conceal my bald head. And when my coach picked me up, and when we got to the event, it was at the Arena Coliseum. It's basically where the wrestlers do the wrestling thing, you know, Mexican wrestling. So the thing is not really set up for these kind of fights. It's more set up for that. There's only one locker room. There's no airco. It's really hot. It was like 90 degrees in there. Inside the locker room, it was like 100, and all the fighters were put in the same locker room. So when we get there, I didn't want to go in with my coach and with my partner, you know, that I was training with Chava. I wanted to go in there alone to like freak them out more, you know, because they're expecting to see a guy with hair up to here. They're expecting to see a guy with a Taekwondo uniform and Taekwondo pants. Like Chava came in with his Taekwondo uniform, you know. He took it off right before the fight. He takes off his belt and all that, and he ends up on the Taekwondo pants. I didn't want to fight with pants. I wanted to fight with shorts like we do here in Holland. I'm just more used to that if I'm doing punching and kicking. I just wanted to have the mentality of I'm in a Dutch kickboxing ring or something like that, right? So I let them go in first. I'm like, I need some fresh air. And he's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Are you nervous? I'm like, I'm nervous. I wasn't even a tad bit nervous. I just wanted to scare him more. So then he goes in, I wait 15, 20 minutes, and then I basically walk in through the event, and I run into the Jeet Kune Do master, you know, the guy that was representing Bruce Lee Jeet Kune Do in ACAPULCO. He's like, are you fighting, son? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, tap me like that. And he's like, good job. The guy he was training basically backed out at the last moment. He had to bring a jiu-jitsu guy that he had barely been training for like 2 months, so he didn't really have much experience standing, and the guy had to fight like a Muay Thai guy, so he had it rough. He got his nose broken. He got messed up, that guy. But never mind that story. That's for another video. But I keep walking, and I go to the locker room, and I walk in, boom, and I look around me. I look right, and the karate guys were there. I look left, and then I go towards where my coach was. And I hear them, you know, who is that? I hear them talking. I don't know, you know. They didn't recognize me, of course, you know. And I would walk towards my coach, and then they realized possibly who I was. And I took my hat off, you know. They see my bald head, and the first thing I did was go into the splits like ran down. And I'm just sitting there looking at them, you know, straight up like. And Chava's asking me, what are you doing? You didn't even warm up. And then my coach was just nodding, you know, like he knew what I was doing. And I told Coach, it's mental warfare. Well, I didn't say that exactly. I just said I'm trying to scare him, you know. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, and Chava, you know, he'll hate me for saying this maybe, but he was nervous as hell. He was like really, really nervous. So I'm sitting there looking at them, you know, and I was just waiting for their instructor to get up and leave. But before that happened, the guy came that wraps our gloves, and basically the guy that puts everything on us, making sure we have everything that we needed. Basically, they duct taped our gloves and our shin guards to our arms and legs, and I was like, "Is that really necessary?" The guy had it with me, you know. He's like, "Well, it's gonna come off, you know. We're gonna fix it and stop the fight every time the shin guards come off." No. I was like, "Well, other option is to do it without shin guards." Well, those are the rules. I was like, "Yeah, whatever," you know. I actually wanted to fight without them, but they duct taped, which was just some ghetto stuff, you know. Duct taping, 100 degrees, no insurance, no pay, no ambulance. There was also another thing, there was no ambulance outside. I looked outside, there was no ambulance, you know. I asked the organizer later, "Hey, where's the ambulance? I'm used to seeing an ambulance in Taekwondo tournaments." It's like, "Oh, not necessary. We'll call 911 if it's needed." We had like a dentist the same guy that made our mouth guards, he was the same guy that was acting as doctor. But you guys, as you guys probably know, dentists are not real doctors. I can smell the event when I think about it. It didn't smell that well there either. Anyways, it was restrooms right there and everything. So after they put all our stuff, I go back into splits and I'm looking at them again. And Chava starts laughing. And shortly after that, the Muay Thai guy came in. The guy that I mentioned earlier. He started hitting the pads also behind us in the middle of the heat, like non-stop for like a while. Taking a big break, and then again, we were thinking, what is going on? You know, the guy the Jiu-Jitsu guy that was fighting him was also already lost in his mind when he seen him. Because he was right there with us, like pretty close to him, you know. The karate guys were all the way across from us on the other side of the door. But shortly after that, it was, after they fought, they came back, the guy had a broken nose, he was messed up. After that was another fight. The other coaches were not letting their students go out and watch because they didn't want them to get like scared or something, I guess, I don't know. But my coach did let me go out and watch. Chava didn't want to go out and watch. He was so nervous, he didn't even want to go out and watch the fights. I was going out to watch every fight. There was 2 fights before mine, so I went out and watched that one. I watched that guy get his face beat in, and then I went back in, and when I went back in, I seen him walk back, obviously all beat up. His nose is completely broken. I'll put pictures of him in the second part of this video. But yeah, he was completely messed up because he was trying to grab the hold of the kickboxer just kept punching him, and by the time he actually got a hold of him, he was so beat up that the kickboxer actually armbarred him. It was embarrassing. The kickboxer armbarred the jiu-jitsu expert. Get that? I mean, it was interesting. Then after that, basically it was my turn. So I'm sitting again in splits, just looking at the guy, and our turn was coming up, and then the karate coach finally like walked out, you know, and I walked up asking like, "Which one of you is Mauricio?" You know, and they looked at the guy that was Mauricio, and I was like, I mean, I already knew who it was, you know. I looked at him, turned around, went back, and then basically my coach put a towel over my head because I was the first one to walk out, and then basically when I started walking out, I had to walk by him one more time, and I looked at him again, mad dogged him one more time, and then we proceeded to make our walk towards the ring. One of the things that my coach did before that was give me like energy drink. I forgot to mention that. He gave me energy drink right before we started walking, which I kind of didn't need. I never had one before. I was like, "What's this?" He's like, "Just drink it." And then my partner was like, "It's an energy drink." So I was feeling the adrenaline plus the energy drink, which actually was a little bit too much in the beginning. You know, in the beginning of the fight, it's like I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't need it basically, but we started making our walk to the ring. And then the next part of the video will be part 2, where I will actually break down the entire fight, guys, you know, with slow motion, what I was feeling, what was going on, everything, and even what happened after the fight, okay? So the next video, catch you later.